Straight ahead on CCX News, a closer look at a mental health crisis involving the county's inmate population, how a site in Plymouth could be part of the solution. Plus a history lesson with a celebration, all to showcase the area's large Liberian population. But first, a police safety message after two vehicle versus pedestrian incidents that happened less than a mile from each other. CCX News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. Brooklyn Center Police are asking motorists and pedestrians to be extra vigilant after two pedestrians were hit, and one of those cases is now fatal. Reporter Sonia Goins has more.
Two accidents within a half hour, that is not what we consider a good day here in Brooklyn Center.
The first accident happened Tuesday night shortly before 6 at 55th and Brooklyn Boulevard.
I left a pretty large gash and it was pretty painful.
The victim, Tommy Czar, is recovering and trying to make sense of it all.
Not only did you run me over, but you didn't stop to make sure I was okay.
This is the intersection where Tommy was trying to cross. It's a very busy intersection. He says he had a green light, so he stepped into the crosswalk, and that's when the driver ran a red light and hit him.
Fortunately, there's no broken bone. It was just a really large gash that required stitches.
While Tommy's injuries are manageable, the driver hurt Tommy's ability to live independently.
In terms of being able to transfer myself from into my wheelchair, so I have to rely on assistance.
About 40 minutes after Tommy's incident, police were called to the 3900 block of Bass Lake Road, where a woman had been hit. You can still see markings in the street.
Completely unrelated from the incident that happened on Brooklyn Boulevard.
The woman later died at the hospital. Police say the driver is cooperating and alcohol does not seem to be a factor, but they are looking further into the accident.
When somebody does die in a traffic accident, we take it very seriously about whether or not any type of citation is appropriate.
Police are encouraging motorists and pedestrians to be extra careful, especially at busy intersections.
It's best to slow down. People sometimes don't really believe it could happen to them, but the fact is we as police officers, we get called every time it happens. We know that it happens frequently.
In Brooklyn Center, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Hennepin County Sheriff is a step closer to getting a new facility he says is badly needed.
Doesn't make sense for somebody who suffers from mental illness and needs treatment to sit in a jail cell.
That's why Sheriff Stanek says the county needs a designated place for prisoners with mental illnesses. The Hennepin County Board voted to approve $200,000 to study building a mental health facility in an abandoned building at the county workhouse in Plymouth. If it goes forward, the plan will cost about $13 million to repair and upgrade the building. Stanek estimates about 52% of his inmates at his jail have mental illnesses.
Jail is not the place for somebody who suffers from mental illness to spend his or her days. If they have a reason for incarceration, that's fine, but they also need to receive the medical treatment.
Stanek says the plan is still a long way from completion. He thinks the soonest the facility could open would be 2 or 3 years from now. There's a saying, a day spent fishing is a day well spent, and that was definitely the case today for a group of kids and Brooklyn Park Police. Special Olympics athletes and police fished together at the fishing pond near the Community Activity Center. This is the second time officers and athletes have paired off in this event that has an ultimate goal of building good relationships.
It's not always that we get to go somewhere and have a great interaction with people. It's not all the time that people look at us with a smile, and these athletes do. They love it. We love it. I have a passion of fishing. A lot of our police officers love to fish, and to be able to share that passion is key.
Cabela's also helped out by providing athletes with free fishing gear and a fishing lesson to kick off the day. The Knights of Columbus provided the lunch. What started with Brooklyn Park Police receiving donated boxes of candy bars ended up turning into a story on NBC Nightly News. CCX News first told you about Brooklyn Park Police's community outreach efforts that included handing out candy bars to kids. Those efforts were featured on Wednesday's NBC Nightly News broadcast. We asked Brooklyn Park Police what it meant to be placed in the national spotlight for something so positive.
What it means to us is really kind of a shot to the arm to staff of saying this work is making a difference. I mean, people are acknowledging it, people support this kind of work, and it's good for all of us.
Deputy Chief Bruley says his rank-and-file officers told him their jobs are much more fulfilling by doing this kind of outreach. And it's not just Brooklyn Park Police that receive positive coverage there. Police badges from Brooklyn Center, Crystal, New Hope, and Robbinsdale were all shown on an NBC Nightly News graphic for handing out car repair vouchers instead of tickets to drivers they pull over. Now here's a little bit of a history lesson for you. Liberia began as a colony of American citizens dating as far back as 1822. The country declared its independence on July 26, 1847, which makes Thursday Liberia's Independence Day.
As a Liberian American, because I have become an American, but I still carry that culture. Independence Day we celebrate.
It makes us to reflect on the historical tie between Liberia and America, and also make us to think about the struggle we went through and the challenges the country has been facing.
There are many celebrations planned for this weekend, some of which are organized by the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota. They kicked off events on Wednesday night with a dinner and gathering for the seniors in the community.
All of the elders in our community, as a community, we decided to bring them in and just have a day separate for them, because the rest of the activities are going to be so fast and moving, and they may not be able to catch up with us.
Events this weekend also include a ball at the Marriott in Brooklyn Park to honor Governor Martin Dayton, as well as a parade and a big kickball and soccer tournament. Everything wraps up with a prayer service on Sunday. Still ahead, a summer camp that involves students of Robbinsdale area schools getting a lesson on breaking news. Plus, the Legion baseball playoffs heat up in Osseo. We will have the highlights for you. But first, temperatures do warm up a little bit, a high near 80 on Friday. Welcome back. Now here's something to get you moving. National Dance Day is actually this Saturday, July 28th, but Brooklyn Park is getting in on the action a little bit early. Tuesday night, members of the Brooklyn Park Recreation and Parks Department hosted a fun dance class teaching the official 2018 National Dance Day dance.
Punch. It's the dance choreographed by Mandy Moore with So You Think You Can Dance. So it's a combination of a handful of things, mostly hip hop, but some jazz also.
Participants learn the dance in stages, and then they perform the whole routine outside at the Community Activity Center. Brooklyn Park Rec officials hope the city can make this an annual event. People in any profession have to get their start somewhere, and that includes the hardworking people involved in the production of this very newscast. As Delane Cleveland reports, in this week's edition of What I Learned at Summer Camp, the CCX production team is teaching the next generation of broadcasters.
All right, ready, guys? Storytelling comes in many different forms.
This is the wonderful talk show called I Like Playing Pokemon.
And in today's digital age,
I go to Columbia sometimes, and I just take videos of my family and my cousins just to remember them.
Nearly everyone
just simple videos on my phone
can be an amateur videographer, but doing it well is easier said than done.
I struggled with the editing part.
That's where Dustin Cooper,
I promise you'll get to play with the camera later,
and Javier Sathio can help. These two CCX staff members are teaching kids a class called Breaking News.
We are teaching these kids how to use television production equipments, lighting, microphones, cameras, all the technical side, and also hopefully they're having some fun on the side as well.
The class is part of the Robbinsdale School District's Summer Academy, and these students are getting a crash course in the technical side of video production.
I think it's important that the kids learn these skills because it helps them kind of think about telling stories. They might not realize it, but I think they all have stories to tell, either about themselves or just kind of what's around them and the environment.
Today's environment happens to be Sandburg Middle School, where other students have gathered for a variety of different summer camps.
And I'm going to hit record, okay?
The kids in the Breaking News camp are learning how to shoot video of what's happening in some of these different classes. And so far, the camp has gotten positive reviews.
I like it a lot, actually. Being able to work with other people to create something.
As students develop new skills that were foreign to them just a few days ago.
I like to interview people, just kind of get to know the people, even though I might not ever see them again.
What's going on, guys?
The final step of this class involves the kids learning how to edit all of their video to put together the final stories. Not a bad skill to acquire over the course of a week.
We're hoping that these guys in the future can, right after this class, be more comfortable with using their cell phones or possibly come into our facility and use our equipment and gear.
In Brooklyn Park, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Still ahead, it's showtime at the Crystal Frolics, and we will take you there live. But first, Terry Tuma talks about some of the new products on the market in the world of fishing. John Jacobson has sports coming up next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. Osseo struggled during the high school baseball season this spring, but it's been a different story in American Legion ball. The addition of some college players who are still Legion eligible has made a big difference. Osseo is the top seed and host for the Sub-State 11 tournament. The Osseo American Legion color guard out before the game as Osseo faces Rogers. Bottom of the second, bases loaded, ground ball scores Ethan Olson, and then the throw to first is wild. Tim Lavin comes home too. And Osseo has a 4-0 lead. Top of the third inning, Rogers threatens with 2 runners on, but Matt Bezdicek gets the strikeout to retire the side. Top of the fifth, Bezdicek with another inning-ending K. He tosses 5 shutout frames for the Orioles. To the bottom of the sixth, bases loaded, 2 outs. Jake Contreras comes through with a clutch hit to score Andrew Shaw and A.J. Valeri for a 7-1 Osseo lead, and that's the final. The Orioles advance in the winner's bracket where they'll play Friday against Anoka at noon. Maple Grove is the number 2 seed in Sub-State 11. Runs were hard to come by in their opening game of the tournament. Maple Grove faced Monticello in second-round action. Monticello pays for a gamble on the base pass in the first inning. Tommy Blackstone bounces a single to the left. Cal Schmitz tries to advance to third, but Jake Strelo on target with a throw to Jared Hansen for the tag and the out. It's 0-0 through the first inning. To the third, Frankie Volkers does his part to keep Monticello off the board, getting the strikeout. It's scoreless through 3 innings. Monticello loads the bases in the fourth, but Maple Grove is sharp defensively. They turn a nice 4-6-3 double play to end the threat. The game remains 0-0 through the first 4 innings. Maple Grove gets a runner into scoring position in the fifth, but Monticello pitcher Ethan Bosacker snags the comebacker and gets Nate Martinson too far off second base, runs him back, and they get the tag, and that keeps it tied. Monticello's a runner at third in the fifth. Isaac Franzen with a bullet, but it hangs in there. Zach Friedman, nice catch to end the threat. We move to extra innings. In the ninth, the hot smash handcuffs third baseman Hansen, and Jace Pribble scores the first run of the game. Monticello adds another run as Jason Axelberg scores on a wild pitch, and 7th seed Monticello knocks Maple Grove into the loser's bracket with a 2-0 win. In other American Legion play, Wayzata 1 is the last unbeaten team in Sub-State 4 after a 5-3 win over Hopkins. Wayzata plays Excelsior 1 Friday in Delano. In the Sub-State 9 tournament, Champlin Park won its opener 4-1 over Andover, while Brooklyn Park lost 6-3 to Ham Lake. Brooklyn Park is facing Andover, and Champlin is playing Ham Lake today. That tournament continues through Sunday in Coon Rapids. Whatever the sport is that you might participate in, trying out the newest and latest equipment is always kind of fun. That's what Terry Tuma is doing with us the next couple of weeks in our CCX fishing tips.
I just recently came back from ICAST, a worldwide trade show for distributors, buyers, and vendors being manufacturers. It was a very large show this year. In fact, they added 40 more vendors. And some of the new products which we're going to go over this week and next week and so forth, one is Berkeley with their plastics. They have really reintroduced a lot of the plastics, a lot of creatures, if you will, with different colors, different sizes, with the max scent and also with the power baits. And we can go on and on with the different type of plastics. But one thing that really sort of excited me, they brought back the lizard, which is going to be, again, something that we really want to take a strong look at, that lizard being ideal for Carolina rigging and Texas rigging. Then they also introduced two new lines, the X5 and also the X9. The X5 is abrasion resistant, going to be great for weed, wood fishing, rock areas, and the X9 is a little bit smoother for casting distances. And then too, Bullet Weight has introduced a tungsten punch weight, if you will, that's going to be ideal for fishing bass in some of the slop and some of the heavy weed growth. And these are just a few of the items. Next week we'll talk a little bit more about new ICAST products.
Thanks, Terry, and that is it for sports. Shannon, back to you.
All right, thanks, John. Up next, festival time in Crystal. We are live at the Frolics with a preview when we come back. And finally, it's time to frolic in Crystal. The city's annual festival is underway, and Neil Persley is already out there enjoying the party. Neil, what's going on?
Shannon, we are out here, and it's not just festival time. It's time to frolic. And I have with me Miss Frolic, Lynn Haney. If you want to talk about Crystal Frolics, this is the gal you should talk to. Lynn, tell me about what's going to happen in about an hour and a half here.
The city of Crystal is going to converge on Becker Park in mass crowds. No, people are going to come out. The carnival is going to open. We're going to have an all-star softball game going on behind me. And plus we will have Bill Conker Polka Band coming in so we can all get out and polka. We've got food and beer and pop and fun for everyone in the family.
Now, is this going to be the last time in Becker Park for the Frolics?
This will be the last time for the Frolics as we know it today. Next year, all of this will move over to Welcome Park for one summer. Then the softball will stay at Welcome, and then we're going to come back to Becker Park, everything else to Becker for the Frolics. Exactly what is going to happen, we don't know. We like to say our imaginations will take us as far as the donations will.
Now, there are a lot of service organizations that the Frolics helps out a lot, and a lot of them are located over here. They have beer tent and all that. Tell me a little bit about that. Okay,
our food booths are the food and beer tent. They're service organizations. It's their fundraisers for the year. We have West Metro Fire Relief and Auxiliary, Boy Scouts, Cooper Football, and they are raising money so that they can help the community in turn.
All right, thank you, Lynn.
You're
welcome. I really appreciate it. And like I said, in about an hour and a half, come out here. The carnival is set up. The rides are ready to go. The food is cooking. The hamburgers are sizzling. And it's time for you to frolic. Back to you, Shannon.
Sounds like you're good to go. Thanks, Neil. All right, he's having a good time out there. Frolics goes on all weekend, of course, and there is so much planned. We have more information posted on our website. And that's all the news we have time for today. We'll see you right back here again Friday, starting at 4 o'clock. Have a good evening, everyone.